We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're live. We're here today with Corey from C Moses 12 channel. Welcome, Corey. How are you doing?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Let us know what for our viewers. Tell something about yourself before you go into the first topic.
So I will say for people that have seen me on this show and just through other channels, I do have a new look. A couple weeks ago, I chopped off a couple hairs. It was a 4-year project, actually. So I don't think we've ever got into it here, and I don't really tell too many people, but when Joe Biden made the comment of if you're not voting for me, you're not black, that was the moment I started to grow my hair, grew locks. They grew down my back, and not because it's another election season, but it just so happened where it was long enough. I had few too many conversations about where's it going, and so now I cut my hair, fresh new look. But I mean, that's not the only thing about me. I am a media, entertainment, and sports executive recruiter. I go through a little bit of my background. I actually have been doing some content creation, so kind of utilizing sort of these platforms and everything that we are here in 2024 meddling with to kind of get out a broader message of think for yourself, be authentic, and the best is yet to come. So that's my overarching message. Follow me on YouTube and Instagram, CMoses12, and a lot more to come. So
Yes. Let's jump right into it, man. Let's talk about media. Bad Boys 4, top global box office, making 100 million. Does this mean Will has been forgiven for slapping fire out of Chris Rock? Short reaction, RJ, and then Corey. You can give a short reaction, then we go into the main topic. Let's run.
So I don't know what C Moses thinks of it, because I as I understand, Will might not be C Moses' best friend. Let me say it like that. But nah, man, I checked out the movie. The movie was very good. I like the movie, and I do think that this will be considered as a turning point for Will. Not speaking for a person individually, but I am saying that let's say for the public in general, knowing how things go in situations like these, it's probably going to be, emancipation. People were like, yeah, get him. I think Chris Rock even said that he was rooting for the master.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I do think so. C. Moses, your thoughts?
So my initial reaction is Will Smith is, and not everybody's going to understand this, but Will Smith to acting to me is like the Chris Bosh of the NBA back when he was on the Heat. Now, they did win a couple championships, but there was something about Chris Bosh that just did not connect with me as far as a superstar type of thing. Now, Will Smith is a superstar, but I don't know. I'm not going to follow him to the box office, let alone anywhere. At the same time, if it's a great film, I am able to kind of humble myself and sit down and say, you know what, let's give this a shot and then go from there. So, but the slap, the red talk table, whatever you call it, the
toxic table.
Huh?
That was a toxic table.
Yeah, red toxic table. Yeah. Whatever. There have been at least 5 of these check boxes that I'm just like, Will Smith again? And I'm just like, all right, you know what? Hey, good luck. I'll watch from a distance.
All right. Hey, before we continue, guys, remember to rate the show by pressing the like button, follow us on our other socials, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And as we already said, go check out C Moses on his channel as well, C Moses 12. Subscribe to his channel as well, and give him some love, because C Moses is a regular here, and I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy it. KR.
Yes, yes. Like I said, 100 million. Who would have thought after, well, God did. Anyway. Yeah, no, but all jokes aside, man, Will Smith is making a comeback, so it seems. I mean, ride or die. It was maybe ride or die for his career. Um, and the people showed up for him.
Yeah.
People
I mean,
showed up.
yeah, it might have. Care. I do think that it's not. I do. I think that he has certain tendencies. I'm not gonna say what type of tendencies. It starts with an S, but the ride or die. I think he's the kind of person that I'm afraid might take the dying into his own hands. Is what I'm saying. But in any case, you can continue with
Is that because of his assistant?
with his assistant. I don't know. Oh,
What reference is that?
brother Bilal.
Brother Bilal. He was talking crazy a couple of months ago. Well, we're now in month. Yeah, 7 months ago he was talking crazy, trying to expose Will for his dealings. But anyway, let's
Wait,
continue.
wait, wait, wait. Just he was the one. He was the one who basically said that he entered into a room and saw Will Smith being, let's call it intimate with another man. Forgot his
Got
name.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
heard. I have heard some things. I didn't hear this particular one a few months ago, but that was one of the check boxes where this was just getting too
Too
foggy.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't see. I didn't know what was going on. Who's who? What are your interests? Where is this going?
Yeah.
But the thing about Bad Boys, I mean, it's not just Will. Martin
Martin
has
Lawrence.
heavy. I would say just name, but more like Martin show in the '90s. As much as Will Smith with Fresh Prince of Bel Air, I don't think there's been a comedy show like Martin. And so we all long for that type of connection to something that
Yeah.
once was. And so we never really, I mean, I say I wrote Will off. It's very hard to write something like Martin and Will off, let alone them being together. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
success, the $100 million could be, you know what, let me give Martin one more chance. And a lot
Yeah.
of people could have given him that shot. So it's not, I don't know, I mean, maybe it's just me saying Will's not leading the way, even though Will's probably obviously had more hits. But I think Martin holds his own too. And I think he's going on tour, right?
I'm not
Like a
sure.
comedy
Maybe
tour?
maybe he is.
I didn't know
It
that.
sounds. I didn't know that. But well, it sounds like a good way to make money for him
A good
because
moment as well to
he's
do
not
it.
again.
A good moment to do it as well.
Yeah, because I mean the movie will be a commercial for him,
Right.
basically getting
Right.
his name out there and then following it up with a tour. Sounds like something Cat would do, but okay.
These guys are not
Hey,
dumb.
they're not dumb. They have great teams, by the way. So at the end of the day, I think this is maybe the turning point. If you look at the numbers, doing 100 million over the weekend, and continuing getting people to the movies, to the theater, and yeah, it proves maybe that he hasn't been forgiven for the slap. So the question is, did but I've read, RJ, you've watched the movie.
I
Did he
did.
got a couple of slaps in the movie as well? That's what I read. Not sure,
Did he?
but
I
Martin
can't.
slapped him out of his anxiety. That's what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
read.
yeah. There was that part.
Okay, so
There was that part. There was
so
that
this
part.
is
Yeah. And so I'm not gonna
I don't know if that
spoil.
works in real life, slapping
Yeah,
someone out of their
don't
anxiety.
spoil.
I'm not gonna spoil the movie, but what I will say is that the dynamic is very good. So
Mm.
the Martin and Will Smith dynamic is good, because they play very well off of each other. So that chemistry, as you said, Simoses, that chemistry made it happen. Also, you have like the other people as well, other actors who contributed to the movie. Of course, these two were, of course, the stars, the superstars in the movie. You go watch it because of them, but the chemistry between them were amazing, and Martin did hold his own. So it's not like it was just like very well balanced out. So yeah, and I did check. Martin is going on tour from July 2024, which is next month, to April 2025. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. It's been a
I-
long
i-
time.
Is it a US tour only, or is it an international tour?
I can check it out because I
Okay.
know I know that's what you're already thinking. So, but I saw some names that he'll be. So on select dates there will be Dion Cole. So Dion Cole will open. Adele Givens, Miss Pat, a legend, Desi Banks,
Shout
Gary,
out.
more. So yeah, it's gonna be, yeah. I think it's great, and to see Martin on tour.
Yeah.
This is
I haven't
after
seen
a long
I haven't seen a stand up from Martin for a very long time.
time.
Can't
It's
even
been,
remember.
yeah, it's been a long time now. I
Yeah.
can recall Def Comedy Jam.
Yeah.
So I can recall him then. I think was he. I think he was one of the hosts as well, right? At one point, maybe
Yeah,
the first
probably.
host actually. But I don't recall him as a stand-up. He's more known from his movies, at least for me. During the time I grew up, he was more known for movies than touring.
For sure. But now it's such a ripe thing where people are looking for that stand up, not only looking for, because the stand up can now, who's to say this doesn't wind up on Netflix, right? At least
Yeah,
one or
that's the thing.
two or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like the stand up can then be the content for the next thing. So he could really go on a buzz. But I mean, not to just jump from the Bad Boys to Martin stand up, it has to. I don't know if Martin is that like viral moment, social, like what's his message on the stand-up? Is he going to poke the bear, or try to figure out where the line that he cannot cross is that type of stand-up? Or is he like a Kevin Hart, laugh at my pain, like we
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
a good question. It's
Because
hard to
I
point out.
see, but I think Martin has the ability to do both. I feel like he can go the Cat Williams route or the Kevin Hart route, but only one of them I feel like for his background is going to work. But if he's got a Bad Boys box office movie that he's also promoting at the same time, he's got to be strategic with what he does. But that's very, very interesting, and I think, I mean, I don't know how does Will, I mean, where the topic is here also saving Will's career. How does Will continue the promotion for the movie and come back, like have his career? He can't just do a movie and then go away.
No, I
He's
think
He's
I
not a
think
stand-up guy. Is he going to come out with an album or what?
Well, he did. I think someone said that in one of the songs that ended up on the soundtrack, the Bad Boys 4 soundtrack, contained a curse word, and they referred to him when he first won was it a Grammy, the Grammys, that he said, "I won it without cursing and stuff." So, and he was cursing.
Wait, he
But
did the song though?
yeah, it was his song. It was his song.
So he
So
is doing music.
So he did it for the soundtrack. Of course, that's a smart thing to do, because if you have the music, you
I
have the
didn't
sound.
even realize. I kind of was just saying that tongue
Yeah,
in
yeah,
cheek,
no, no,
like,
no.
oh
But
yeah,
yeah,
Will's rapping again.
no, no, no. So this was for the soundtrack. I don't know if he's gonna drop a new album, and I don't know if people are gonna buy it. But what I do know is that what I do think this is that he should make use of this momentum. Say what you want about Will Smith. You're talking about saving his career right now in this segment. Yes, this could contribute to his career being saved. He needs to keep doing more things. However, KR and C. Moses, however, what we've seen throughout the years is that Will Smith knows how to build a strong career. We've also we also know what his kryptonite is. So
as long as the kryptonite shuts her mouth up.
as long as his kryptonite doesn't go to someone press record on the camera, as long as his kryptonite doesn't think that she's more important than Will, because what we've seen is that she can't shine on her own. She needs to involve Will in one way, shape, or form, and it's usually not to exalt him, but basically to say, despite him, I was able to do my thing. So if Will can keep his kryptonite from being in his business and tampering and tampering with his success, then yeah, for sure.
I
Uh,
have a point there.
I think this can be like he can continue it, but if he can't, then I don't know. This he's like Drake basically at this point. Kr, what do you think?
I think so. If you look at this, when the slap happened, a lot of people pulled their hands off of him. A lot of studios said we're not gonna make movies. They put movies on pause, on hold. I think if this is as successful as it seems to be coming, those contracts, projects might get a second look, and they say, okay, it's been proven that he's the old commodity we already knew he was. He's able to bring people to the theater to watch the movie. So yes, let's restart some. Let's try a soft project. So I think this will be followed with another movie. Maybe a proven concept that he did in the past, just to make sure that it's not too way too out there. I mean, just don't forget he slapped Chris Rock that night, but the role he played, which is Serena and Venus' dad, was a great. It was great acting. Whether you like him or not, I watched that movie. It was a pretty good movie. Portraying a strong black man, um, making a plan for his kids to succeed.
Yeah. There's a difference between portraying a strong black man and being one.
Yeah,
And
well,
the second one requires courage in your personal life. Uh,
not saying
what?
that he's that off screen, man. But
But he
okay.
does go through that off screen because he has more than just, so if we're talking about his career, the one of the tough things you come to find out is you got to juggle that work life balance. And in his life, he has kids that are in the limelight. He has a marriage that is in the limelight. He has apparently a second life slash closet that is opening up or is well known to a lot of people. And at this point, if that's the truth, it is what it is. And if it's not the truth, then maybe you want to do some course correction on what your name, when you show up into the room, what people are thinking. So I think he has to think about that when, as
Hmm.
he, I mean, he's not reemerging, but if you say this is a pivot, then maybe this is what we think of Will going forward, and we just let alone what just happened. Things are crazy. The 90s were crazy. 2000s are crazy, and it all culminated into this slap that he had to then do some deep dive reflection of, like, all right, who are we in front of this camera, and who are we when that camera presses stop?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
according to the rumor, his closet's been open. What did you say? What do you want to
no,
say?
continue.
Yeah, so according
You
to
were
rumor,
cooking, so let's
yeah,
continue
the
cooking.
his closet's been open, all of the closets. What I think is important to take
I want
into
to say
account.
something, but I'm not gonna say it.
What I think is important is, yes, Simoses, I do agree with you that a lot of aspects of his life is public, but he can, technically speaking, you can do something about it because you choose what you want to share with the world.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And he made certain choices. First of all, first choice to marry another Hollywood star, well,
D-lister,
D-lister,
C-lister,
yeah, Q
D-lister.
Q-lister,
Yeah,
um,
probably.
D-lister only if it's from her son's friend. But he chose to marry like someone that's popular, and then they chose to make their two children, young pop stars from a very young age. That was their choice because at a young age, as a parent, you can say, no, you're not allowed to, but they chose to do so. So now you have four people in the family. I don't know if they're living in the same house, but you have four people in the family that are known. And the cherry on top was his wife opening or at least starting the Red Table Talk Sick podcast. And when they started, she could have gone anywhere with the conversations. She could have gone talking about the passion for art, the passion for whatever, but she chose to talk about relationships and trauma because we're healing. That was the topic that she chose. But even then, you can invite people to the table, talk about them without talking about you. Because if you know it's you're interviewing, but she clearly chose to expose, well, share things with about their life. So it's not they're choosing to do so, they're choosing to put their lives, all aspects of their lives, in the limelight. And I think that if he had chosen another wife, for example, I'm not saying that he had to, I'm not gonna say, because all relationships of course have their challenges, but what I'm saying is if he had just made one different choice and stayed with the former wife, or chose or married a second, married again, but someone that wasn't popular and in the limelight, that his career path would have been entirely different. So he chose for this life. He chose this life.
100%. So one thing I think I'm realizing this is yeah. Last year they had the Hollywood went through the writer strike, which obviously affected the actors and just all of the back end of film industry and a lot of TV and all that. The point that I think the viewer and the consumer doesn't actually understand just yet is what types of content was being written and worked on behind the scenes that they are really ready to roll out and sign the contracts and go forward with. Because as you were mentioning, everything with Will and Jada, yes, it was on screen, and they probably should have had some more conversations behind closed doors. But that could also be something where they end up either writing a documentary, or that could inspire the life of a Hollywood actor that kind of went too far. And I could just see some sort of script inspired by something so close to where we are, because that's how things, like some of the biggest movies are made, right? It's like, based on a true story, but it's also, this is the truth or the genesis behind this, and it gets you thinking and it gets people talking, and it's like, oh, I could see. So I feel as though Hollywood is not dumb, and there's a lot that's going to be rolled out. Bad Boys almost feels like it's that first piece or first bite of a larger cake, and so like it brings us in.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Bad Boys, it's like another Fast and the Furious. But I think that kind of went its course. But I just think that they Hollywood, etc., understand how to bring us back, and I don't think any type of time or story or scandal is going to go to waste.
Yeah, it's not gonna go to waste. And my final thoughts on this is that um, Will Smith, like I said at the beginning of the show, Will Smith is like Drake. Drake versus Kendrick. Drake clearly won. Only people who disagree are the Drakistas, the Drake
Drake,
fans.
you mean Kendrick?
Kendrick.
Won, really
Yeah,
won.
Kendrick won. Yeah. Only person that disagree. Only people that disagree are the Drake fans. But Kendrick won. I mean, by a landslide.
Yeah.
But the reason why Drake can come back, and for example, or will, I mean, he didn't really go away, and he's gonna stay here for the time being, I think, at least. And for example, Ja Rule couldn't, was because Drake is marketable. And if you're marketable and the corporations can get money through you, you're gonna stay there. And whether you like it or not, Will Smith makes great movies, and so he's in great movies, so he's gonna stay here no matter what. I'm just gonna repeat: it's the kryptonite. That's his problem. But
Yeah.
if he can, I don't think he's gonna build resistance against the kryptonite. But if he can keep the kryptonite out of his effing career, then I mean he's gonna definitely land the plane as it relates to his so referring to his career. And I do think they're definitely gonna make a documentary about him for sure. I just hope that it's not Jada that's directing it.
Well,
And it's
that's
also
content.
the last piece. Is it during his life or is it afterwards? And I'm not trying. Obviously, I think it's just a different film if it's post Will Smith era or if it's while he's here.
Well, knowing his ego, he might want to do it. Yeah. But I think that a documentary I think it has to be post. I think to him
Post,
it
yeah.
has to be post, yeah. If for it to have any legitimacy. Because
Right.
just after you're
Un-
gone, where will and maybe like with Ye, they did it in as he's alive. I mean he's still
Yeah.
alive,
Yeah.
but there's still like it's great to see, but the problem with uh, creating documentaries when someone is alive is that you're not telling the whole story, and so it ends somewhere, but there's still a lot more to go.
Right.
Uh, as long as he's not retired, as long as he's still working, then I think the documentary he just needs to keep giving people material for his document.
And I hope it's being created by someone independent. Because otherwise, it's going to be an infomercial, either for or against him.
Yeah.
It always
50
happens.
Cent should create it.
He's doing the Diddy one. Might as well start dabbling into documentaries. Talking about documentaries, stories that matter, storyline creating, Peabody Awards. You went to the Peabody Awards, right?
I did. It was the last second. I don't even know how to say it. Storyline that got me there. But the Peabody Awards is supposed to be podcasts, radio shows, TV shows, anything that matters, news,
Online media, etc.
media, everything media. And it was very interesting actually. So I stayed at. Are you guys familiar with? Well, I stayed at the Beverly Hills, which is where it was. But you guys know PBD, Patrick Bet David.
Of course,
course.
we know him.
Of course,
I introduced Patrick to RJ
in
when he
person.
was. Well, yeah. When he was a little boy.
No, yeah,
No.
he introduced me to the channel Valuetainment, and
When they were small.
I can if I go take 5 steps to my left and bring both of his books. Well, he has more books, but the last 2 books, that's the ones I heard are better. So
Nice.
Shout
All
out to Patrick.
right, so great. So we'll start here. I met a couple guys from his team at the gym.
okay, nice.
They claimed to have no idea that what the Peabody Awards were, let alone that they were staying at the hotel where they were hosting the Peabody Awards.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's a
I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it for a second. I don't want this to speak negatively of PBD, but at the same time, this is the world that I walked into. Of net, he definitely wanted that to feel like a happenstance type of thing. Rub shoulders with the right people. Now you have a couple new guests for a few months. It's very clear that was the strategy. But then it was like, don't let anyone know. I don't know why they didn't want to let anybody know that they were just there for that reason, as opposed to actually being there for the awards. But again, it's just my introduction to stories that matter, creating storylines, having people there, because clearly he was there with his team saying, hey, we're going to go here. This is what we're going to say. I'm a nobody, so it wasn't like they had to win me over. Maybe if I was a director or an actor, they would give me a different story. So, but it's more of just being conscious of the story that you're living and creating in real time, but also on the screen. Because the thing that I now going to the awards itself, it seemed as though we were stuck in no, it was great, but at the same time the stories were very much like we shall overcome, DEI, the black actor, somebody gave me a chance, and you guys are shaking your head because you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like we've seen this story, and I think I think we're at that point where now we create a new storyline, and we have new films, and we've already gotten that first woman to do this, and first that whatever, or I don't know. I just think that this is a moment that I think it's like, okay, we get it, and now we're at a point where we're looking for a new story that matters.
And are you, and just to be clear, are you talking about, so you're basically talking a bit about like the wokeism of equality and those type of things, equal chances, although I understand that's important, but are you saying that the movie, so the storylines were mostly that, or were you saying that the whole
Awards.
award show was like that?
So I would not say the award. So the award show was actually good, and I say that in the sense that just well, like produced.
Organized.
So I wouldn't say the award show itself, but more so the stories that the awards were giving the awards for, right? So it's like that's the piece where I think it happens from a new line of writers, actors, all of those that are inspired by the yesterday. Like you don't want to just completely get rid of what got us here.
Yeah.
But we also don't want to just stay and do another movie that is just like the one that we gave an award for, not just yesterday, but 20 years ago. So I think it's that balance that we certainly pay homage to, our, let's just say, forefathers. But I just think
I don't know.
there's so much runway, so many things that we can take it. I missed that one, but in totality, I don't know. I think especially from a top down, so from the content creators that have no following to the writers that do the box office $100 million films, I think we're looking for something new.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
No, I think people are changing. It's slight. I have a feeling that it's slightly changing. What you see is that um, um, there seems to be more emphasis on other than the DEI stuff, right? I think it was Joe Mazzulla who did an interview a couple of days ago where they asked him what is it to be the first I think it was two. They asked him two black coaches or something like that, and he
Yeah.
said he stared in front of him and said Christian coaches or something like that. So,
Yeah, I'm more interested in know how many Christian how
Yes,
how
that's
many of
it.
them were Christians.
Right.
yeah. Like
Hey,
that's
you
a
take
random.
color. Yeah, you take color. I'll take religion. What else? Who
And
wants to
two
take color? Yeah.
was totally quiet after that. So I think
Yeah.
And I think that's just because they never heard of that. So like that's the part that I'm saying. Like for Joe, he just never thought of that. That just isn't something
yeah.
that was like, oh, we made it because of that. So he couldn't answer that because he never thought of it. And I think the writers now have to understand, hey, not everybody thinks that this is like an achievement. And not only just the writer, I think we're all at that point where it's like, if I didn't even, when I look at Jason Kidd and Joe Mazzulla, that it literally never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Especially if
some
you look.
people are obsessed with stuff like that. That's the
Yeah.
crazy part.
Yeah. I think that, especially I don't look at when I look at Jason Kidd. What I think
The Drake complexion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm closer to that. Yeah, you always, anyways. That's not go there. But what I wanted to say to you guys, however, and I think this is important to remember. Uh, I, I'm gonna push back in the sense that I agree with you what you say, but I'm just gonna push back for the thought exercise. Okay, there are certain movies. If I ask you ask you guys right now, what movies do you consider great movies, amazing movies, one of a kind? And I can think of a few. To me, I would tell you, The Matrix, at least the first three.
Yeah.
I can tell you, for example, Inception was a great movie.
Yeah.
Shutter Island was a great movie. So there are a couple of movies that really stand out, right? But why do they stand out? They stand out because they're different. There are more normies, as Sakir likes to call them. There are more normies out there than free thinkers, more sheeps than shepherds. So it makes the only way that a movie like The Matrix will stand out, and every time you watch it, the first three, again, I'm going to repeat the first three because the fourth one, they're trying to take it in a different route. But the only reason why it stands out is because it's different from the rest. If all movies start being produced like that, uh, we all know what's going to happen. It's going to become just like a regular action movie.
Yeah.
Like when you go watch Bad Boys, when I went and watch Bad Boys 4, any action movie, John Wick and all those things, I'm just sitting. I know what I'm gonna watch. I don't know how the ending may they if I know that they're planning like sequels, and I know that the main character won't die. Maybe someone else will, but I know what to expect because I've watched so many of the movies right now, and I just go to watch it for fun. But if I look at the same goes for the what do they call them, the black exploitation movies. So you know
Mhm.
what will happen. You know what's gonna happen, and so the I think that you need to keep doing you. So you need to, as a for example, if you're a model, you need to keep doing you,
Yeah.
working out, eating healthy, working on yourself, communicating, etc. And maybe if I mean put yourself in the best possible position. Same goes for movies. And sometimes you have bad luck because you're in a year where the DI will take over and they will choose the current Miss Alabama, for example, to be the Miss Alabama. But you shouldn't say, "Oh, I'm gonna be Miss Alabama." Risk. I'm serious, guys. Risk getting a heart attack just to be to for in the hope to getting to I
It's a
think
one-time thing.
the artist, yeah, it's a one-time thing. So I do think that the artists, and especially with the platforms, and we talked about this last time when you were here, see Moses, that you have platforms that can level the playing field, and I mean, it's I think people are always making good music, always making good poetry, always making good movies, always making good documentaries, but it's just sometimes they don't get pushed by the mainstream media and platforms, which means you need to be a little more creative in doing it. But I do think that there are a lot of people who are on that level, basically.
I think the authenticity piece has to be because it's like staying on brand. Miss Alabama, I don't know if she can go on tour and share her story with the world and have us be inspired by how she actually got on that stage and won the award. The story, there will be a gap. Somebody planted some sort of seed and said, "Hey, we actually can." I don't know. There's a story there for sure, but it's not one that they could actually tell in front of a camera and on the mic.
Yeah.
It's something that just happened, and I don't know. So, but the authenticity piece is where you say them pushing this story. I don't think the gatekeepers are unemployed now. There's no more gatekeepers. So what I think is getting ready to happen is we're going to get stories that matter, stories that are real. You might have to. There's still. I mean, obviously, there are people that are going to push a narrative, and as much as we can anticipate some of the narratives, some they're thinking two steps ahead. So it's like, oh, and you do embrace it sometimes. But those hidden gems, that black market, when you find something where it's like, man, why is this not? Those are still those moments, and those, whether it's music or a film or whatever it is, those are the ones that you're telling, hey, you got to go check this out, because this is, you're telling your friend, you're telling your family member, you're inspired, you're sharing it. There are things that are out there and that will continue to be out there. And I think that it's organic, right? That's organic growth that's happening, where nobody's pushing it, but it's like the algorithm, right? That's the matrix playing.
The one movie that comes in mind when I hear you guys talking right now, it's Freedom of Sound. That
I don't
was
know that.
so organic.
Freedom
Yeah,
of Sound.
Freedom of
I have
Sound
to
with
watch
Jim Caviezel
Yeah, it's good.
as the actor. That was a movie that was very organically promoted, and it had
Nice.
even backlash. People
Yeah,
trying to to push
yeah,
back
yeah.
on it being like a how do they call it, a right-wing fantasy
Propaganda. Yeah,
propaganda. Yeah,
but
but it was, I went to watch it. Very good movie.
yeah.
Very inspirational
Wait,
movie.
Sound of Freedom?
Sound of Freedom. Yeah.
Okay.
Sound of Freedom.
Um,
I want to say, what I want to say is that with regards to the information and the movies, etc. I watched an independent movie by a local actress. She lives in I think she studied and she lived in New Jersey. I think she's still living there. She's gonna move to Atlanta, but she's not from the States. She just studied there, and because she wanted to become an actress since she was very young, she went to live there, and I think she did act. So went to acting school in New York, but she lived in Jersey, and the movie was like, it was a short movie,
Mhm.
less than 30 minutes. The movie was very powerful. It was nominated. I don't know if it won, but it was nominated at different independent movie award shows. So she flew to Canada as well, to the States as well. So it's not like it's not there.
right.
When you go to the mainstream, with, let's say, the cream of the crop, you look at what sells across the board, and
Yeah.
then those type of films do not, they're not like I didn't understand it in the past when Kurt, a friend of mine, used to tell me that the an artist, an underground artist, is not mainstream material, and I'm looking at his demeanor and his style, and I say, no, he is, because I can understand why you're telling me that guy is not, because his dreadlocks are all over the place, and mainstream needs to be clean. So if he
Right.
had it, just trade is no problem. Then this one has face tattoos, etc. And he told me, no, it has nothing to do with looks. You need to look at the whole package. So like Drake is marketable mainstream, the whole package.
Yeah.
He does everything that you want for someone like that to do. Every role you need someone like that to do, he will do it. Everything he needs to do, he will do it. Will Smith, and so we can name a couple of them, right? But uh not all people are. And for those independent movies, the movies we really like, only a select few will reach mainstream level while maintaining the essence
The
of
essence.
an
Yeah. It's
original
very
movie.
hard. I think it's very hard. I think that the machine tends to break things down in a way that, how can I say this without, it breaks it down, it waters certain parts down that can make people realize about certain things, think differently. It doesn't promote, the machine doesn't promote
Waking
different
up.
thinking.
It promotes staying asleep.
I was trying to avoid that part, but okay, yes, it promotes staying asleep. You
Yeah.
cannot be woke. Now, I'm saying the woke as in
Awake.
woke.
You can't be
Yeah, you
awake.
cannot be awake.
You'll be woke,
Right.
but
You
can
have
be
to be woke, but you cannot be awake. So yeah, you want to
Woke
say
is-
something?
But it's just funny that we all have like a film. I mean, what came to mind for me was American Fiction. That did you guys catch
Yeah, I
that at
didn't
all?
watch that one yet. I didn't watch that
Okay,
one
well,
yet.
that's certainly in line with like I see why you can't really promote this or push this, but at the same time, if it comes across your journey, I mean, in some ways, it does make you look at the world completely differently, right? So that's what ends up happening when you watch some of these films. You look at the world differently, or you're thinking differently. So it's not for everybody, but I think that's a part of why it's so good. It's like not everybody can it's like that meal that not everybody can digest or has an appetite for, but you know that it is hitting. And I mean hitting like the palate, like it's just for you. And I'm not saying only for you, but it's like just for you, as in you feel connected to it. So yeah, I don't think we should want that to be what becomes mainstream, because it'll lose
Yeah, we'll lose it. Yeah.
it'll lose something in that recipe. It'll lose that piece, which is what ended up happening for me for Drake. When Drake went mainstream, which obviously, well, it was like a very short play. Like next thing you know, Drake is mainstream and everybody loves Drake. But it was like I appreciated him when the So Far Gone was hot off the press, and I remember that he had two mixtapes before he hooked up with Wayne and just went on that play. But
The Night Wonder
I
mixtapes.
think comeback season,
Yeah, with Night Wonder, etc. All those guys.
and
The
then
producers, yeah.
yeah, but it was before OVO.
Yeah, that
And
was
I'm not saying
before
OVO was like that didn't hurt him. Obviously, he put out music that I've certainly listened to and appreciated. Blah. But looking back on the whole thing, there was when comeback season came out and So Far Gone at the beginning. There's no. That was it. That was that moment where you're like, man, this is special. This is good.
It was organic.
Yes.
It was
I
organic.
mean, he talked about taking the money from a show and going to the mall and spending it, and it's just like he's not going to the mall anymore, so he can't even write those lyrics. But like you do, that was back when you did just get paid and you would go to the mall and buy some fresh clothes, feeling like you know what I'm saying. So there was a connection there, and I think that same connection is kind of like what is happening at large when it comes to just art and content, and that's where you then find your people.
That's actually a pretty good parallel, because if you think about it, back then Drake was mainly writing his own stuff, and then they realized, I think, that him writing his own stuff will not transition to the mainstream.
No.
And him getting more writers that create hits resulted in where we are now.
100%.
And that's why he uses so many writers.
Yeah, he's a
'Cause
soldier.
Yeah. Give him the right weapon in his arms, which is the writer, and he will go out and give you a couple of hits to feed the machine, who's actually not even it's not profitable. It's living on a thin, it's almost over the hill at this point. The
It is
music
almost
industry.
over.
If you look at the music industry these days, I mean, I won't say dead, but it's close to it, or it's already dead.
It's commercialized. It went just commercial.
It seems like it's having gangrene. If you look at hip hop,
Yeah.
to me, it seems like it's fully gangrene. The arm is already gone. But maybe I.
Well, I guess maybe if that's the case, then they're probably just selling the parts for what they're valued at now,
Yeah.
rather than keeping it whole and letting it evolve into the next phase of. Because I mean, hip hop is. I'm not going to say it's new, but every generation has like a, you have the
Different version.
disco, the jazz, you have these things. So now hip hop is, you say over the hill, like it's on its way out. And so I don't think they wanted to inspire the next hip hop artist. I think we've got the last of the hip hop artists. I don't think there's an
Yeah.
8-year-old writing lyrics right now saying, man, I was inspired. Who would they be inspired by?
So there's not many people left out here.
That's really catching that again. I would say 8-year-old just to make sure we are getting the youth and like that next up and comer. But I just don't know who would inspire the person to then put in a bunch of time and effort, and the father say, yeah, you could be a star, and they're gonna say, yeah, I was in the mirror. Like, granted, that's not the only way to become that, but that certainly is how it starts, whether it's hip hop or football or whatever it is. Like, you're supposed to be inspired as a kid to put in time that then ends up manifesting when you're 18 or whatever the ripe time is. But I think that's over. And so I think we're at a point where we're waiting for what's next, but we're also creating it in real time. So I mean, that's the part of what's happening with the content, right? Going back to stories that matter and staying relevant to 2024. This is a pivot that Cat Williams got us on. That kind of, what did he do? He kind of just shattered some minds to start the year, and so now we're opening up the floodgates, or the genie's out of the bottle as far as content and creators and what stories that matter mean.
I was on mute. Yeah, so yeah, I do agree with you on that. This talking about stories that matter, right? If we go to the second topic of today, before I continue, let me real quick introduce the topic. The second topic of today is the white threat wife. That's what they say in the article. Influencer who crashed out saying the N word while she was filming herself cooking, and she refused afterwards to apologize before revealing she got fired from her job. Talking about content and stories that matter. Let me change the banner right away. Talking about that, she got 25 million views.
Thought you were gonna say 25 years. Trad wife means traditional wife. I guess.
Yeah. Traditional wife, yeah. Is she playing a role in a story she's trying to tell?
Were they saying the N word traditionally in the past? Well, I guess depends how traditional you want to.
How far you want to go?
How far do you go? How far do you want to go?
No, but yeah. You want to say?
Yeah. So let me start by prefacing that I don't live in the States. And so I do know that in the States, the N word has a completely different connotation.
Wait, before we get into just that word, do you have the link? Are we able to
Yeah, we can take a
run?
look at what.
Because I think her page got taken down, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes,
Or
yes,
is she
it
still
was.
on?
It was taken down.
But we're not gonna
Let me.
not entirely, at least, not the part.
Why not?
Because if they took hers down,
Well, shit.
well, okay, she did it. Well,
That's
let's
on
see.
TikTok. That's on TikTok.
Okay,
I think they took it down because she is or is on the verge of creating a career behind it, and then it's like, well, what is she going to say?
I think this was a move. This was a power play from her, and people gave her what she wanted. Let's take a look at the clip real quick.
well,
The
KR,
original.
can I ask you this? If
Okay.
if we're gonna play it and you're gonna do anyway, we'll talk about it later. So you can bleep it out afterwards.
Yeah, I can
That's
bleep
right.
it. No problem.
Yeah.
I'm the rule. Everybody I know, that's the exception. I'm the rule. Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke-ass niggas.
Yes, you did.
So that's what the original video was. She was talking about who is dating who out here.
Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest. Yeah, continue.
Yeah,
RJ.
sorry, I had to cut you off. I just wanted to
No
make
worries.
sure.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So yeah, I just want to say this. So the word has different meaning. If you go to Latin American countries, they just use the word ends with an O then to refer to a black man. And it's like, oh, I like you, the black man. In the Netherlands, they use it. So in Europe, but especially the Netherlands, Germany, they use it differently. And but therefore, so for example, the R, for example, you have the and the R in the States. In when you're in Latin America and they use the word, it sounds like not even it's just like something you call. Instead of black, you say, I want my coffee black. They just use the word for black. But when you go to the Europe, for example, when they use it in some countries, it does sound they do use the same R, and in some context they do use it, let's say, insulting, and not just to say that person is black. So I just want to say, so, but there's a lot of, the word has a lot of meaning, and it
Yeah.
has a lot of, it's a heavy word. There are some
It's heavy
people
if
that
you make
say,
it, though.
yeah, well, yeah, of course. So if someone calls me that, I don't care. It doesn't get. But what I'm like, I have the Matt Barnes complexion. I can say it. I can say it. I just need some. I need a tattoo on my sleeve right here, but I can still say it, and it's okay. But then comes the question: Hey, can a Mexican say it? Who can say it? Hey, but Arabs aren't white, so can they say it? And so I think you're either for it or against it. But if you start making, some is, and I mean, you can do whatever you want. I don't care how you use it. But I'm just saying, from a legal point of view, when you're setting up rules, they need to be clear. The more exceptions you allow,
Create.
the less strong the rule will be. And then you get a moment like this when someone will I mean, the way she said it's not the first time she said it. Let's be honest. And so I don't even know if she said it to refer to a black guy, because some people just use it to refer to a man. So it's what did she mean? See, Moses, interested in hearing your thoughts.
I don't give a fuck. I promise. I just don't. I don't. I don't care. I mean, I think the part that I care and I appreciate, right? Because I do feel, right? I feel some type of way about like certain things that like matter. So I'm not saying that this does not matter. All I'm saying is like I can't be an uproar. I do not want her page taken down. I just don't care. Now, I would also listen to what was the video actually about, right? Like, I don't know. That statement in and of itself doesn't make me hit the like button, or it doesn't make me flag the channel. It's like, what were you trying to say and what are you trying to do? However, the appreciation part is going to language. Using words to create a picture in someone's mind. You can use whatever you want, words you want. I will then take those words and paint a picture as to what I think you're trying to say. I think that there's a disconnect. Sometimes there's a disconnect in who is saying what and what, like what. But when you said you don't know what she was trying to refer to, white, black, I mean, it seemed as though the only thing that we know is that they didn't have any money.
Yeah.
Which,
But
in my understanding, is that not close to the definition of what that word is? I don't know. Actually, I don't.
yeah.
The answer is I don't know. I think it's what, stingy, at least from. There's so many levels to where we unpack this, but the fact is, I think here in 2024, we have to have a different conversation than we had in 1980 again, when we went to the "We Shall Overcome," Kumbaya, the Master, he's running away, like all of that stuff. It's like we didn't live through that. We had a whole different type of upbringing, which we had a bunch of stories that, again, it was the first of this, the first woman. It was all of the, despite these setbacks, overachiever, there's a winner. Like there's a lot of success stories regardless of race. It was just unifying type of thing. So now here we are with this soon to be, if not content creator to be, trying to make a message. It's like, what's the message? And I mean, she's cooking. I wonder if the meal was good, and if she's going to be a wife that doesn't have a broke husband.
Yeah. Well, the way she's talking seems like so by the short fragment that we showed, yeah, it seems like this is not the first time she used it. And I would assume that she doesn't put raisins in the potato salad. But what I think is we need to also take into account is that the term, right, that is only accepted in the black community because it's only supposed to be said in the black community.
But this is that moment where it comes out of the black community, because it's not who has ownership of it.
I
Like,
understand. I understand what you're saying, but
legally.
I understand what you're saying. But I think that if the word is bad, you shouldn't use it. And so what happens is that you know how many people I know, white people who are allowed to see it in their friends, amongst their friends, because so black friends, there are so many subgroups. It's not like one type of person or three types of persons, people. It's a lot of subgroups. And like, who was the one who said it? Was it Dave Chappelle? Or I think it was Chris Rock who said that if I'm in bed with a woman, and though I don't know if it's not Chris Rock, then and please, guys, let me know who it was. But he said that, do you think that if I'm in bed with someone and while I'm doing what I need to do, she tells me keep doing that N word, that I'm gonna stop and say, hey, you can't be saying that. So everything is context.
Context, right?
So I think if it's so my again, from coming from a legal point of view, I think if you don't want other people to use it, be the example and don't use it yourself. To me, either way, it doesn't matter, because if you call me that or if you don't, it's not gonna do me anything. But
It- it-
you can't. The more exceptions a law has, or any rule for that matter, the less strong it is. You're not allowed to go out past 8. You're gonna tell your children that, right? And except if there's a birthday, or if it's Sunday and Saturday, or if it's a holiday, or if the air conditioning isn't working, or if you can, and then or if, for example, there's tension in the house,
Right.
and as soon the more exemptions you have.
Yeah.
And in the past, when I was growing up, it was really like they say, what was it? I think it was Pride Called Quest, right? That said, it's a
yeah,
tape of
Q-tip,
endearment.
Q-tip.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, hey, you have a we say it, but you don't. But then the society becomes complexer. There is a stand-up
How much?
comedian who looks. There's a stand-up comedian who looks white, but his father is black, and in one of his bit he uses it, and then they said, hey, you can. He said, why not? I'm black. No, you can't say it because I can't say it. This is my father. No, you can't say it. You know what? I'm gonna call my father. He calls him, and he has the mic right here, and so says, hey, dad, I'm doing a show right now. Dad, can I say? And then he just said it, right? The N word. He didn't say the N word. He just said it. Can I say the N word? The dad said, you're an N word, right? So And everyone
It,
was like,
it,
"Ah." So the whole thing of color. It's not black, no pun intended, but it's not black and white.
Right.
it's a new paperback rule, right? If you're not above the paperback color, then you cannot use it. I think it's stupid, by the way, because if you think about it, this might sound a bit harsh, but this is what you get if you use a word in a popular genre of music
Yeah,
that you don't want other
yeah.
people to use.
So
Because
you have a
how
yeah.
many
Continue.
times have you kids listen? So the popularity of hip hop skyrocketed after the 2000s. It really went off the charts.
Crazy. Yeah.
Everyone is listening to it. White, black,
Yeah,
Hispanic,
yeah.
Asians. They hear and what nigga every day.
Yeah.
Do you think as
Popular
a,
music.
this is popular music? This
Popular
is
music.
they hear,
The
and don't
most
forget
popular by
the
a
most popular
landslide. By a landslide.
by a
So
landslide.
going back
Yes.
to the
By
reference
the way,
in the
popular with
'90s,
kids.
you would have to, well, from if you grew up in the '90s, you had to ask your parents to get a CD. So and
Yes.
then they would say, "Oh, I
And
don't
I have
want
the
you listening to
license
that."
to.
So no, but they would have to buy the CD for you. In the
Yeah.
2000s, you just it's a click of a button. You're downloading the
Yes.
album and you have
Yes.
it. So you don't need permission anymore. So you hear those with subconsciously. There's no parental. I mean, there's parental. Am I 18 or older? Yeah, I'm 11. Clicking. I'm 18 or older. Give me the song so I can hear it. So I want you to continue on your point, but like there was a clear when we say '90s was hip hop was still popular, but you had to get permission. You had to be the cool mom and or dad
Yes.
and give your son the Biggie album or No Way Out or whatever it is.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, there was nothing. You get whatever song you wanted to listen to, and then it started to be played on. There was a hip hop station in the 90s. In 2000s, the pop station played hip hop.
Hip hop. Yeah. Yeah. So that influences everything. People hear it every day.
Yeah.
One thing I always ask myself that if rappers really realized what they were doing, because by saying those words in the songs, what you get is people get desensitized.
Desensitized.
Just
Yeah.
100%.
Anyway, yeah,
No,
and what
it's
you
a
get,
great point. But I think you're giving with that question by itself. Do rappers really understand? Listen, let's be honest. They're not the highest
well.
IQ, EQ person in the room.
I
They're
ask
just not.
myself whether it's that or whether it's hunger. Will a rapper? I think a rapper would sell anything to get money. They'll sell anything
Yeah,
if
but
it sells.
if they
If it
knew more, if they knew better, they would do better.
Ice Cube is a college graduate.
Ice Cube was a victim of the timing of him coming out. So he didn't.
Let, I'll ask you another question. Ply's parents are both university graduates.
Is he from Atlanta?
Ply's, I don't know where he's from, but I think he also graduated with a nursery degree or some nurse degree or something like that. So it's not like these people they will sell anything to make it. If
Florida.
and this is a huh?
No, I'm just saying he's from Florida. Yeah. But
He's
continue.
from Florida, but you can research. His parents were university graduates, I think. But
Yeah.
to go back to the top to the main topic, there you get rappers putting in their songs that the word. I ask the thing is, do you expect people in their private homes when they're listening to the song to start censoring themselves? It
I,
won't. So
I think they
it's
did
up
at
to the
first.
vocabulary.
They did at first. I don't think it
Yeah,
was right out the
maybe.
gate. They're saying the N word because it was
Yeah,
like, especially in some of those songs like N word, like whatever. But now 20, we're
20
let's just
years
say
later.
15 years later. I mean, it's been a long time. So at
It's
first,
been a long time.
I'll subconsciously bleep it out because I know I'm not supposed to say that. I'm just saying, and
Yeah.
shit, I don't even really say it like that. I
Yeah.
remember growing up, friends would ask me permission to say it in songs.
Whoop
Yeah,
ass.
that's what I'm saying, man. That's
They
what
would
I'm
ask
saying.
permission, and so then it's like,
Who's
do you
pro-
grant? Do you
who's
give them that authority to now? Because they really want to say it, right? They're like, man,
yeah.
this
I
song
want to
is
feel how
really
it
good, but
feels. I want to
it's
feel.
not as good if I can't say this part of the song. But I
Yeah.
don't say that word myself. I just think my vocabulary, like no matter if I'm giving a sentence, like I would. There's a lot of other, and I don't even say like where you are intellectually. I just think creatively, like you can use other words to paint the
Yeah.
picture. Going back to that part, and I think if you use that word to paint your picture, it's probably not going to be what you actually want to say. I mean, granted, there are for the rapper, absolutely, or Denzel. That I don't want. There's only my like that's the part that was the exact word he should use there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But for most of us in everyday life, there's something else we can say. But I'm definitely not gonna if that's what that girl wanted to. I mean, look, I didn't know her before she used that word, and I bet she wanted someone to know her, and now we do.
Yeah.
This is and to bring it back, I'll say something about that the last part what I'm the point I try to make, and then I'll go to your part because I think this is all connected. The I've seen like 10 years ago two white kids, traditionally white, Caucasian.
From the mountain of Caucasus.
They were talking to each other and using the N word. Like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna slap you, nigger.
yeah,
Really like that. So these kids grew up using that word. They don't know differently. I don't know. You cannot say in that context, and context matters always, I think. In that context, text, you can say it's a racial context. He's using it as dude or whatever, pal,
Yeah.
whatever how you want to translate it.
Yeah.
So
And I'll continue.
so then you ask yourself in this case, sh- she's not new to the game. Social media is a game.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She knows that if she uses that word, but she grew up listening to,
Yeah.
what it will start.
Yeah.
If you're looking for clout, and like you said, you want to start a career, because we know she's what people want to see. Certain people, let's put it that way. If you put like a roadblock, a bottleneck into the career, we all know certain people try to donate or make her more popular. I think there was what's her name? I forgot her name. She's one of the conservative girls. Forgot
Conservative.
her name. Very blonde. Forgot her name. I can't even call her name, but she's blonde, blue-eyed as well. If you say certain words and people try to, then you get certain people to support you.
Yeah. You don't want them to support you. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. 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 So let's just like, yeah, you might find yourself shaking hands with a bald guy, a bald white guy, and you don't know why, and then they'll associate you with that guy. But I think what the way she said it again, I'm a proponent. Need to keep it simple. Either we decided we use it or we decide not. It's the music is popping, the genre is popping, and you're telling people you can't say the word. One of the hardest songs, man. Jay-Z and Ye in Paris.
Yo.
That's one of the hardest songs, man. And you can't replace it with Black Man.
You can
Paris.
replace it with anything.
Especially if you want someone to play the song and you're at a party. It's like, hey, can you play this song? It's like, what's the song?
One song and one song only.
And where's your Paris?
and so you can. And, okay, the second question is, you can see it. I mean, let's just do the thought experiment. You can't say it, but can you request it as a white guy to the DJ? I want N-word in Paris. I don't know. What I do think is the following. If you have songs where you can replace the word with something else, you can say a dude. As I never hesitate to put a dude on it. Okay, sure. But do you think you can say, if you don't know, now you know, dude? It doesn't work. So part of the art is using that word. And I think this will be a continuous debate. I do think, however, if I can anticipate that in the future, it will be tolerated and accepted.
100%. But then also lose that edge, because what you're saying is we made it cool, and then other people wanted to use it because it's cool. But then it's like, no, you can't use it. But then it's like, okay, you can use it, but now it's going to be less cool because everybody's using it.
Yeah.
Or using it in the context of you're cooking and you're just using it. Like, that's probably not. This is important to this moment, but in 5 years, the tread wipe is not going to ring the same way as it's ringing now. And it's only ringing now because of, the culmination, and there's a lot of different things. So,
and even what you see now is that people are saying, who cares?
Right.
I think it's much more than in the past. If I look at the comments relating to this story, you clearly see a slight shift. In the past, people would be going crazy in the comments, and right now people are saying, yeah, okay, she's saying it, who cares? Let's not try to make her popular for no reason, because she just said something that, I mean, she said it, okay, who cares?
But it's more of like, what did she say? And who are those people? And are they broke? So then she just told the truth. They're broke ass niggas.
Yeah.
And
but again, it's a never ending discussion. If we, as long as I think it's either you do or you don't. You're right. And everything in between, and a word, and I think a word only has a word
power
only
if
has
you give
power if you give it to it.
Yeah.
So if you decide that the word doesn't have power over you, then you can say it, call me. It doesn't matter to me. Say it when you're angry. It doesn't matter. Say it when you're sad. Doesn't matter.
The thing is,
I might
a lot of people have been programmed.
Intimate, but okay. What does
a lot of people have been programmed.
I mean,
the question is, can you deprogram people from getting triggered from the word?
Well, there's different programs, because what we're saying is this new generation has a different program than the, what do you call it? I mean, what's the one below the baby boomers? Trump is a boomer, right?
Yeah, you have baby.
I think it's Generation X.
XYZ.
Let me see. You have baby boomers. You have silent generation from 1928 to 1945.
No, go the other way.
After Generation X, 1965 to 1980.
Now they're the ones who are they're MLK died, Malcolm X. They are very much, half of the black population still wants to go back to Africa. The other half is like, I mean, it's just, I don't even want to go there, but there's so much they were programmed that it's just like, bro, listen, respect, but it's actually not what they told you, and you are still living in that moment. What I want to say is, I was on a panel this past week with another girl who freely says it. And so it's like, I think it's Thorpe TV, Grace Thorpe. She actually started a channel with like her family, and now I think she's kind of venturing off and doing her own thing, but she freely says it, referring to her father and friends, and She says she doesn't say it to every black person she comes across on the street, but she does understand that it has a certain ring to it as a content creator, so she thinks it's funny. Who are you to say are you going to pull up on her for saying, like, it's like, she was programmed to say that I don't believe in that program. So I just think we're here, right? It is not just a one-time girl at bat. It's like, this is a generational thing that beautifully more people are thinking for themselves. Like, yeah, I really don't care. Or I don't know.
There are enough great people crazy enough to pull up. I'll tell you that. But
and guys, if he knows that term, the broadcast term, if she knows the broadcast term, she'll probably know what it means when someone says "run it." So it's still good. She's familiar with. She's familiar. I think, a word is a word. Either it's not allowed, and then you make it illegal, and if you say it, then that, I mean, as a lawyer, thinking from the legal perspective, if you want it to really, if you really don't want it, you need to ban it. If you don't, and if you tolerate it, then you're always bound to have these things. And these Generation X, I always say, they protested against everything. Everything was wrong. Everything was bad. Protested against the system and all those things. You had feminism and all those things happened. Yeah. And so it's okay, great. But now that's how society goes, and it shifts. And one thing that's allowed then and was normal then and accepted then is not accepted now. But maybe in 50 years it's going to be accepted again. So it's
times change, man. Times change. I only hope that in the future we won't have. I don't know, guys, if you guys remember, there was this show with Kendrick Lamar where the girl was invited onto the stage. What song was he playing again? Where at the beginning it says, let me see, we can find it real quick. Yak, Randall, where you from, nigga? When you from? He invited a girl to sing it.
What'd she do at the part?
Well, the first one she muted. The second one she said it. The third one she said it, and then he stopped it.
Yeah.
He stopped it on the stage.
He stopped it on the stage, and she asked,
"Oh man, if you can bring that up, that would be amazing."
Let me search it up.
So as soon as she stepped on the stage,
why are you? Yes. Why do you play that song? You should have known.
Yeah.
He set her up.
Yeah, I found it.
Because you were saying, JR, about law.
Yeah.
Candace, actually, you want to play it, and I'll go on the other side of this because I think.
Okay, let me see if I'll put it as close as possible to the part so we don't get flagged. Let me see. Let me move you here. Let me close this down. Put this up. Okay, here it is.
Wait. Am I not cool enough for you? What's up, bro?
Am I not cool enough?
What's up?
My boy Rohan kind of knew the rules a little bit.
Will's just really cool, bro. You have to work.
You gotta bleep one single word, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I do it?
Yeah, you did it.
I'm so sorry. Oh my god.
Should she stay up here, y'all?
This goes back to what I said earlier.
Yeah.
In people's private, they just sing the word, and then
He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say it? I mean, I didn't even think of it."
And when they say it, they don't think about what they used to think about. Like, Where's that? No, it's just
Yeah, right. Clearly, she does not have a problem with black people. She's on stage reciting the lyrics of not just a
rapper.
regular black artist, a black power type of black artist. So it's
and we all know what she said when she got off that stage. F that N. We all know what she said.
Oh man.
that's good. But I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
her response was, "Am I not cool enough?"
Yeah.
It didn't register like a, is it because I'm white? It was just like, wait a minute, am I not cool enough for you? And so, I mean, look, if that was in what, probably 2014, is that the year that
This happened in Paul. Let me see real quick. This is 6 years ago.
6 years? Okay, well, I
Yeah.
think we even evolved in those 6 years to the point where, I mean, I don't know if they're going on stage and saying it, but I think that the conversation is not just an automatic boo, you can't say it. It's okay, well, where are we now that like we are coming together clearly? Ticket sales are across the board. We want a DEI. Now we're all in the same room, but then we don't want the inclusion for whites to be able to say. I mean, it's a broader discussion. But where I wanted to bring it with regards to Candace, who I'm not sure. Candace is like another sister that I have. Like a literal, not just because she's black. She's just like my sister because she is in line with research and my thinking. She resurfaced recently and she's talking about how they are passing laws about what you can and cannot say about a certain country. And I do not believe that the right people are in a position to then ban this word legally. So I don't think that it can. It's not. I mean, it's certainly a part of the same discussion, but I don't think this is where it's going to evolve. Where it's like Congress is passing a law that says white people can't say this word, but it is a part of a larger discussion of what is free speech and what can we say and what can we question. And if you actually put into law the fact that you cannot say this sentence, or if you can't question, then you're going to push people to say, well, why? And then they're going to do more research and then they're going to find out some interesting things, or you are going to leave out a part of our reality and brain that then is a part of this new program. But I think with Candace, she's fearless with like saying, well, I'm going to say it now because they may pass a law that says we can't, but while we still can, let's kind of find out what's underneath this hood. And that's, I mean, I think yesterday she kind of verbatim unpack that one, but I think it is a part of a larger discussion of what does free speech actually mean, and if we are America, the leader of the free world, there's nothing you can't say. There's nothing you cannot say, especially in the comfort of your own home or your own studio. Like you're at your house, literally. I'm at my house. I can say whatever I want. Maybe I can't go to the Capitol or into the workforce and take the mic and yell whatever I want. And the only reason I can't is because then they'll say, well, you're fired or whatever. There would be repercussions there, or people can throw things at me. So it's like, not that I can't say it, but be ready for what comes with it. But right now, I can say whatever I want. And you should have that ability too, especially homegirl, the trad girl. She was in her kitchen cooking like a great woman should be. She has that right.
Yeah, well, the only difference is you might be in your home, but when you go online, you're sharing it with the rest of the world. So you're not really in your home anymore. Now you're in my home because I'm watching it in my home. So
you chose that though. You clicked that.
Yeah, but so that, and then it's the platform. So it's a platform that needs to decide whether or not. So because who needs to do what? Because when I go and watch something, I don't know what I'm gonna watch, right? So is the viewer the one that's wrong because the viewer chooses to go on YouTube or TikTok, or is she wrong because she's going on TikTok? Is the producer wrong or is it the consumer? And that's up for the platform, which is basically the middleman that will
Middleman. Yeah.
decide yes or no. But then there needs to be rules, and then it's the platforms. So the rules can be laws, the rules can be also the platform, but you need to have rules to say what is possible and what is not possible.
Who do you think will complain most if the platform bans the word?
They can't ban the word.
The same people that don't
Hey,
want to be
hypothetically,
Yeah, right,
let's
right,
say
right,
let's
right,
say you
right,
can
right.
put an AI that captures the
Sure.
word and says they have that. They can.
Well, they
You
actually
don't-
did
you
because
don't
her
have an
channel got
AI.
taken down. Her channel got taken down, and the only reason her channel got taken down was because she said a word.
yeah.
So clearly, they did.
So the same people who want to use it only for themselves, so which is certain people of the black community that feels like you know, and because you have certain people that want to keep using it, and you have others that don't, and you have others, the middle people who don't care, right? So those are the three people. So the same people that want to use it but want to keep it, let's say, internal, they will fight for it, but they will fight for it so they can use it, but only to themselves, you know. And
It's
they
also what if we're talking TikTok, it's Chinese government that is running that platform. I mean, if we're just going to
For
my
how long? For how long? They
Yeah,
will sell it off. They will sell
yeah,
it off.
yeah,
It will be an American platform, I think, in the future.
yeah,
you think so?
Yeah,
yeah.
they will sell it off. It
I
will sell
mean,
it off.
that's not a bad thought because it's almost like they're going to be selling it for its peak, and just like all the platforms, they come and go. So
Yeah.
they are thinking strategically and always
Think about
business.
it. Instagram is turning into Twitter at this point.
Instagram is turning into Twitter,
For sure.
and Instagram started turning into TikTok because Instagram prior to this was only graphics and pictures, and
Yeah.
then it started turning into TikToks where reels
Yeah.
became more popular
Right.
than text,
Right.
even LinkedIn.
Um,
So it's merging more and more, I think. Yeah. But with regards to color and things like that, the problem with that is if you look at, I think it was Angela Davis, right, that went to check her DNA, and she saw that her great grandfather took a slave owner to court and was also involved in a lot of free ac- movements to free slaves and to help them, etc. But at the same time, go a couple of generations back, and one of her great, how many great grandparents were was on the Mayflower. So then
No,
it,
Oh.
yes,
No. I pressed. My bad. My bad. I pressed the.
yes, she
Yeah,
was.
what? I
And
was
so
I was pressing. I just pressed this. That's why I said
I said no.
no,
Yeah.
no,
my bad. My
no,
bad. My bad.
was that Kendrick's response
no,
to the girl on
no,
stage?
nigga.
No. It wasn't. It
Okay.
wasn't. I pressed it by mistake. My bad. But yeah,
Yeah.
continue your.
So
But you
here
have a
you
good
are.
point right there.
And just to show you how generations can change, right?
Yeah.
You go up one generation, you see uh, an ancestor who comes and that from another skin color and race, and so you know they are the oppressors, but you go down that same line and you're gonna find freedom fighters and people who are fighting for the cause, and then you can go one generation after that and you can find something else. So, and just because you know you have a certain complexion, it doesn't mean just because you are white now or you're black now or you're Mexican now or you're Dutch now or you're Australian now doesn't mean that that's what your ancestors were. Now, how far back are you gonna go? That's why I think that if we're gonna talk about things like reparations, those things don't need to go to people. They need to go to, for example, projects. If you wanna conserve, you know, if there are specific things that you want to
Promote?
not promote, but yeah, well, we can use promote, but
Champion?
also conserve is one I want to. So,
Mhm.
if you want to, then you go focus on that. But if you go only look at the color, the problem with that is that you can have someone, for example, super rich, came from a very good family, maybe was never, because remember, we're not you can have some, not all black people were slaves. So the guy or girl could have come
Some of
from,
them were owners.
some of them were owners, some of them were
Many,
cowboys. If you
right?
if you look at, how many people from Africa, just no slaves, they just came to Africa 3 generations, 4 generations later. They're black, they're wearing the hoodie, they're wearing the sneakers, they're on brand, they're for the culture, they're with the trends, but they feel like, hey, you can't do this, but they never did it to you, nor your
Right.
ancestors.
Right. It's so interesting, and I think we're there. We're at that point, that like intersection of where were you before this? Where were not just you? Okay, because I was again different panel, but this was with someone who was a Nigerian who was making America great again, who was wearing a MAGA hat. So almost cosplaying
I know what you're talking about.
Chaotic Truth. His name is Chaotic Truth. CT.
Yeah.
I guess he has a persona here, but my mind says you can't represent Make America Great Again because you just got here.
Brand.
You just got to here. So, but I understand what you're trying to do, but it's like for someone like myself who as I'm not triggered by the hat, I lean into it because I was in my world the first person I knew that actually was like, that is a good slogan and I like Trump, so I never bought on the extra stuff. Now 8 years later, I understand why people hate and love Trump for different reasons beyond that, but on surface it was let's make America great again because it actually used to be great. But not for people who just got here. You just got here. So if you were going to make something great, you wouldn't have left where you were. And it's not even, there's no negative, like I don't see any fault in it, but let's just be honest with where we are, who we are, where we were, and so on and so forth. And I think it's very important with the programming to understand that not every black person was a slave. Not every black person there was so many stories that never got written in books. And my story is one of them, and I'm still unfolding on some of the other stuff. It's crazy. I have to continue because it's a reminder of me. For me, my grandfather has or I think it's 110 acres in a trust in South Carolina. And there was if you understand how much land 110 acres is, that means he was somebody.
Yeah.
That's not just a little bit, he was, if you're talking about, that's a community.
Yeah.
So right then and there, it's like, okay, well, this is where I came from. Granted, my grandma sold her acres to her brother and moved up to Hartford. And Hartford itself, there was so many different people coming here. So like that whole thing, the story, and I encourage everybody to find where you fit in the story. And then from there, you do not get upset when someone says the N-word because it's like that's a whole different meaning. Because even if you were to go back when it was so powerful, they weren't saying it to you. Now, that doesn't mean that like it was right or wrong, right? If that was, I don't completely disconnect from whatever uphill battle blacks had to get to, but it's a lot of it had to do with the media and miscommunication. But whatever, however you want to describe it, we weren't educated. Blacks weren't educated right. Everybody here wasn't educated right because they only chose a certain storyline to tell people. But here we are in 2024, where it's very easy to find the rest of the story, and I'm excited about the other stories that didn't make it into those books or the movies or
Hey,
the
man.
podcast. Oh, and
That's a good ending, by the way. Talking about telling stories, storyline, story creating stories that matter.
Mhm.
I think we can wrap this up with that being said. Do you have any points you want to make, RJ, in response to what Simos just said?
Yeah, in reaction, no, I don't have. The only thing that I, yeah, so the only thing that I wanted to add to that, which would be my final thought, is that we need to remember that when you go look back, because see, Moses said, go check. Yeah, that's great. But really check. And don't take the don't take only the leaf that is in your that fit with what you want with your image of the
Forever
world.
narrative. Yeah.
Just go with an open mind, try to understand, also understand that times change. Things that were acceptable then aren't acceptable now. Things that weren't acceptable then is acceptable now. Modern is not always necessarily better. It's just
Mhm.
symbolizes a different time. And if you go look at it with an open mind, then you can learn a lot and things and also you will realize that hey, things actually a lot of things don't really matter. And the N word, if you let it have power over you, then it can control you. And that means that everyone, if someone says it, you're triggered and you're ready to go to jail. I mean, it's, and that means, so yeah, you have power. You don't have power actually over them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll finish it by saying this. If you get triggered by the word, that means that someone else is controlling you, like you said, RJ, and that means you're going back in time.
Mm.
Execute order 56. Yeah,
Hey, some people get. By the way, if you go back, another thing, if you go back and look at your family tree, ancestry, etc., please don't get stuck in the past. Come back to us.
come back.
Come back.
Come
Bring
back.
something good too. Bring
Yeah,
something
bring something good.
worthy. Yeah.
Hey, man, think we can wrap this up.
Wrap it up. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We want to thank C Moses again. Guys, go show C Moses some love. C Moses 12 on YouTube and Instagram as well, right?
That's right.
Go check him out. Free thinker, interesting person. We really like having him on the Double Thought Show. And as we said in the shows as well, we're gonna do this more often. So we're gonna try as much as possible once a month, of course, taking into account everyone's planning. But we're getting very good feedback from you guys. So we're gonna keep doing it as well. Also, guys, remember to rate the show by pressing the like button. Follow us on our other socials, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you stay up to date when we drop new videos. It's been a pleasure, and until next time,
Peace.
Peace.
peace.